Okay guys, back here once again with the Dragon from Dragon Works, and it's a pretty exciting day for a lot of people, including yourself. If you've been following along on this mystery shovelhead project, it's been a long road, but I'm going to go ahead and fire it up for you, but only going to run it shortly because I got a lot to do. I got to break it in, and I got to resolve some issues. Right now, we just have the old electronic timing in here, and it's really not the best. It's in kind of rough shape, but I just want it to have that just to be able to fire the motor up, work out any little kinks in it, and then we'll find out what all we really need to button this thing up, and that's what we'll do. So yeah, like right now, like I say, it's obviously not broken. It's not tuned yet. The electronics are crap. We definitely want to, it's got new plugs in it, but we definitely want new wires, and we might go ahead and do coils and ignition, like I said, because now this motor's hopped up a little bit. If you haven't been following this project, you'll have to back up. There's too much to talk about. And for those who have been following, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So right now, once again, I just got my fuel supply right here. Got a little bit of gasoline in a tiny funnel and a hose going down to the carburetor. And without further ado, let's try to fire this thing up. And like I say, I'm not going to run it long because I don't want to do any damage to it before I properly get it broke in. So I'm going to set the camera here on the ladder. Let's see here. That's not too bad, huh? You guys can deal with that. I don't want it to fall off backwards and smash my phone. Let's hope it don't fall. All right, hang in there, guys. All right, baby, come on. All right. Yeah, as you could hear towards the end, if you guys caught it, right there I was holding the choke open a quarter because I want a lot of fuel in the engine right now. I actually want to flood the engine. Why, yeah, you can see all the old oil still burning. The pipes are full of oil. But we just stuck them on there to run it. He wants to put maybe some shark fin, shark tails on it or something a little bit different. So anyway, sorry, I get chopped up here sometimes. But what I was saying is, if you heard in the very end of that, it sounded like it was running on one cylinder. So it does that sometimes. I still have to do the electronic ignition and the wiring and stuff like that. But going back to what I originally was saying, I was holding the choke open like a quarter choke. I want it to run really rich right now while I'm breaking it in. I don't want to lean it out while I'm breaking in those Wiseco pistons. But yeah, you see how quick it fires up. It sounds totally nasty. I was barely cracking that throttle, but I still think I'm a long ways. You know, like I say, I got to break it in. We're probably going to have to rejet the carburetor, obviously. We got higher compression now, stuff like that. I'm going to have to go through electronics. So, and obviously I got to put it all back together. So it's a long road yet, but the customer's been very patient and understanding, and glad that he has me doing it and not all those other guys that screwed him up on all these other bikes. And if you don't really kind of understand the situation, you know, the guy kind of was under the impression that when he bought this bike it was going to run, and we found out otherwise. So what we're doing is trying to get out of this thing with the least amount of damage. This is not, you know, a lifelong project he had, and you know, we could afford to tear the thing all apart and rebuild it fresh. We're trying to get out of this thing, like I say, with the least injury possible. So that's why this project's been a little choppy. And you know, like I say, if you've been following along, you understand completely. But Anyway, that's going to be it for now. I could talk all day about this thing. There will be some video coming up. Stay tuned for, if you remember way back when, like November, we talked about his 77 Corvette. We're going to get that over here in a couple weeks and get the motor out, get it all freshened up. And we're going to rebuild that car, probably paint it, do interior, motor, everything. So that's going to be really cool. But trying to get this thing done for him so he can ride his bike. He's never heard it run since he's owned it. So, and I think he took him a year or something to pay the thing off, or, you know, what have you. So this is going to be a very happy moment for him. And I'm glad to be part of it. So we'll get the bugs worked out. It runs. It hadn't blown up yet. So yeah, again, let me just take a second. You see this oil pan here. So what happens in these Shovelheads and Evos, in case you all don't know, is if they sit a long period of time, see the oil tank is up top and the crankcase is down low. Now these are a dry sump, which means the tank holds all the oil except what's circulating through the motor, and then a scavenge pump keeps it pumped back up to the tank. When you let them sit for a long period of time, the oil will ooze down through the oil pump and get down in the crankcase, and it'll fill it up with oil. And there's a hose that comes off the pump just for such occasion, and most all Harleys have this. That's why people think they leak oil. And this hose, it'll puke out that extra oil. So this bike sat for years. I think it sat for 11 years. They told him it, you know, only sat for a couple years, but I got a little bit of evidence to prove different. But anyway, so it's been sumping a little. That's why you kept seeing all this oil underneath the bike, because as I was working on it and I would have to crank the motor over to get top dead center, it would actually start puking oil out. So you can see how bad this thing was blowing oil from the previous owner. These are cleaned off, but the pipes were just stained in oil. The engine was stained in oil. But so far, we don't have any leaks right this minute. And the other thing is, I'll have to probably readjust the valves a couple times, the push rods, because they're solid lifters now. And sometimes you set a cold motor, you run it, you might have to readjust them or whatever. So I'm going to have a bunch of adjusting and tuning and stuff like that to do yet. But you guys heard it here. All right, you got the Dragon. Thanks for watching. Peace out.